You're watching The Money Show, and it's time for our Spend with TMS segment. We'll keep it with travel then. And yes, while we definitely do advise our viewers to try and limit their travel plans, to the bare minimum or to the absolute necessity, we understand that some travel plans simply cannot be put off since they've been put off for the last 6 odd months. However, we are, of course, in times of tremendous uncertainties. There are increased cancellations, inevitable delays due to procedural checks, and then, of course, not to mention, the rate of cancellation in India of flights as well. It's ebbed off a little bit compared to maybe what it was in July when, we first did open up. But nevertheless, it's still there. So what are the T&Cs, the fine print with respect to an airline or a flight's cancellation, date change, refund, credit shell policy that you should keep your eye out on? I have with me Ajay Awtaney of livefromalounge.com joining in on the show. Ajay, it's a pleasure having you with us today on The Money Show. I know you're an avid traveler, or at least you were prior to the pandemic, and I'm sure you're feeling pretty unsettled, having to stay in one place for the last many weeks. But have you had to take a flight recently, be it domestic or international? And if you could share your experience of the same with our viewers.
Hi, Mubina. Good to be back on the show. Indeed, just beginning of this week, I took a flight, 2 flights in a row, one to go from Mumbai to Jaipur and one to come back from Jaipur to Mumbai. And I can report that my experience was very, very good overall. I think the only thing that has changed is obviously there are more procedures now to follow. You should build in the time of an international flight check-in now. For a domestic flight departure, I think it took us about 2 hours to clear all the procedures at Mumbai airport and maybe about 1 hour at Jaipur airport. But beyond that, yeah, as long as you are maintaining safety precautions, which is wear your mask and wear your face shield and use sanitizer often, I think it was a pretty good flight experience overall.
Well, that's really very pleasing to hear, Ajay, that, it wasn't, your usual humdrum of long queues, etc. And yeah, it's very important that every individual really practices all these social distancing measures because, each and every one, it's a collective sort of effort that everyone will have to make. Ajay, flight cancellations have been the bane of travelers, and it's increased, in the last couple of weeks due to technical reasons and obviously health reasons as well. What's the status now? I mean, it has reduced a little bit, the rate at which flights are getting cancelled, but unfortunately it's still there.
Yeah, so I think the flight cancellations have gone down vastly from when we started on 25th May. Some flight cancellations still happen, unavoidable as you may like it, but they happen, but for technical reasons and other, some states might decide to go into quarantine requirements and so on. But I think, if you would like to hear, I think my advice on that part continues to remain the same. People should book their tickets as late as possible in the booking process rather than as early as possible, because then you have a more firm indication of if your flight is operating or not in the next day or then 2 days later. So that's one thing. I think we've talked about this on the show quite a while back, but I still continue to say that book your flights very late in the day.
Okay, and that will essentially give you some more confidence as well on whether the flight's going to operate or not. What is currently the policy that's usually adopted in case if a flight does get cancelled, be it whatever reason though?
See, the current policies, there are 2 different policies at play right now. Okay, there is the people who who still have their money stuck with the airlines for the cancellations that they witnessed during the pandemic period, where they were booked to travel between April and May, and they've still not gotten the refunds. I think that is sub judice with the Supreme Court, I think, at this point of time. And DGC has made a filing there that it fully supports that people get their refunds at this point of time, rather than being made to wait with the credit shell and so on. I don't know the airline stance on that, but this is the DGCA stance, and there was a hearing today, and we haven't heard of what came out of it at this point of time. In terms of the flights, current day flights, let's say you book a flight today for traveling next week, airlines have gone back to the usual policy, which was, let's say, 3,000, 3,500 for cancellation, and a different fee for no-show, and about 2,000 to 3,000 rupees for a date change. So that is the current policy at this point of time. In case the flight gets cancelled, I think now everyone's giving out a full refund if the flight gets cancelled because of the airline's problem, not because a customer volunteered to cancel a flight.
Okay, so largely airlines have reverted back to the old policy of a cancellation fee, a different fee for no-show, and a different fee for date change. However, if there is a cancellation on account of an issue on the airline's part, then you can expect a full refund. Ajay, how do credit shells work? Because this as well is a term that's being thrown around quite a bit. How exactly does it work?
The credit shells work in two different forms. One is when you booked a ticket directly with an airline and your flight got cancelled, and hence they give you a credit shell. It's very easy to use in that case, because once you have your credit shell, you go to the airline's website, you book up your new ticket. I have checked this on quite a few airlines' website. I think I was trying to book a ticket for myself last night, and I saw this. At the payment page, you get the opportunity to use a credit shell where you put your old PNR, and then it will deduct the money from there, as compared to having to pay the price in cash or credit card, however you're going to use it. There is a slightly twisted process, which is for when you've used an OTA or a travel agent who booked your ticket. So in that case, I think there's a lot of confusion going on, because the you really need to contact the travel agent to use the credit. You can't directly go to, let's say, goindigo.in or spicejet.com or whatever other airline website and use that PNR to book a ticket. You have to go back to the travel agent, and the travel agent, online or offline, will make the booking for you and adjust your credit shell against the fresh booking you want to make.
Okay, well, I just wanted to squeeze in one more question, but unfortunately my producer tells me we're out of time. Ajay, really appreciate you joining us today on ET Now and, sharing your very valuable recommendations with our viewers. Ajay, of course, did have quite a pleasant experience when he took a flight earlier this week, but remember that we are not full throttle in operation. We have air bubbles in place for international travel. We have state-related lockdowns. We have technical issues. So to avoid cancellations, etc., it's always best to book your travel closer to the date that you are scheduled to travel, and that will give you perhaps a more firmer indication of whether your flights is on schedule or not. And again, like I always say, you can catch this episode on our YouTube channel, but for now we'll wrap it up on The Money Show. Thanks for watching.